Random House Audio presents Kraken, An Anatomy by China Miéville. Read for you by John Lee. To Mark Bold, Comrade in Tentacles. The green waves break from my sides as I roll up, forced by my season. Hugh Cook, The Kraken Wakes. The sea is full of saints. You know that? You know that. You're a big boy. The sea's full of saints, and it's been full of saints for years, since longer than anything. Saints were there before there were even gods. They were waiting for them, and they're still there now. Saints eat fish and shellfish. Some of them catch jellyfish, and some of them eat rubbish. Some saints eat anything they can find. They hide under rocks. They turn themselves inside out. They spit up spirals. There's nothing saints don't do. Make this shape with your hands, like that. Move your fingers. There. You made a saint. Look out, here comes another one. Now they're fighting. Yours won. There aren't any big corkscrew saints anymore, but there are still ones like sacks, and ones like coils, and ones like robes with flapping sleeves. What's your favourite saint? I'll tell you mine, but wait a minute first. Do you know what it is makes them all saints? They're all a holy family. They're all cousins. Of each other and of... You know what else they're cousins of? That's right, of gods. All right now, who was it made you? You know what to say. Who made you? Part 1. Specimens. Chapter 1. An everyday doomsayer in sandwich board abruptly walked away from what over the last several days had been his pitch, by the gates of a museum. The sign on his front was an old-school prophecy of the end. The one bobbing on his back read, "Forget it." Inside, a man walked through the big hall, past a double stair and a giant skeleton, his steps loud on the marble. Stone animals watched him. "Right then," he kept saying. His name was Billy Harrow. He glanced at the great fabricated bones and nodded. It looked as if he was saying hello. It was a little after 11 on a morning in October. The room was filling up. A group waited for him by the entrance desk, eyeing each other with polite shyness. There were two men in their 20s with geek-chic haircuts. A woman and man barely out of teens teased each other. She was obviously indulging him with this visit. There was an older couple, and a father in his 30s holding his young son. "Look, that's a monkey," he said. He pointed at animals carved in vines on the museum pillars. "And you see that lizard?" The boy peeped. He looked at the bone Apatosaurus that Billy had seemed to greet. Or maybe, Billy thought, he was looking at the Glyptodon behind it. All the children had a favourite inhabitant of the Natural History Museum's first hall, and the Glyptodon, that half-globe armadillo giant, had been Billy's. Billy smiled at the woman who dispensed tickets, and the guard behind her. "This, then," he said. "Right then, everyone. Shall we do this thing?" He cleaned his glasses and blinked while he was doing it, replicating a look and motion an ex had once told him was adorable. He was a little shy of 30 and looked younger. He had freckles and not enough stubble to justify Bill. As he got older, Billy suspected, he would, DiCaprio-like, simply become like an increasingly wizened child. Billy's black hair was tousled in half-heartedly fashionable style. He wore a not-too-hopeless top, cheap jeans. When he had first started at the centre, he had liked to think that he was unexpectedly cool-looking for such a job. Now he knew that he surprised no one, that no one expected scientists to look like scientists anymore. "So you're all here for the tour of the Darwin Centre," he said. He was acting as if he thought they were present to investigate a whole research site, to look at the laboratories and offices, the filing, the cabinets of paperwork, rather than to see one and only one thing within the building. "I'm Billy," he said. "I'm a curator. What that means is I do a lot of the cataloguing and preserving, stuff like that. I've been here a while. When I first came here, I wanted to specialize in marine mollusks. Know what a mollusk is? He asked the boy, who nodded and hid. Snails, that's right. Mollusca had been the subject of his master's thesis. All right, folks. He put his glasses on. Follow me. This is a working environment, so please keep the noise down, and I beg you not to touch anything. We've got caustics, toxins, all manner of horrible stuff all over the place. One of the young men started to say, "When do we see—" Billy raised his hand. "Can I just—" he said. "Let me explain about what'll happen when we're in there." Billy had evolved his own pointless idiosuperstitions, according to one of which it was bad luck for anyone to speak the name of what they were all there for, before they reached it. "I'm going to show you a bunch of the places we work," he said lamely. "Any questions you can ask me at the end. We're a little bit time-constrained. Let's get the tour done first." No curator or researcher was obliged to perform this guide work, but many did. Billy no longer grumbled when it was his turn. They went out and through the garden, approaching the Darwin with a building site on one side and the brick filigrees of the Natural History Museum on the other. "No photos, please," Billy said. He did not care if they obeyed. His obligation was to repeat the rule. "This building here opened in 2002, he said, "and you can see we're expanding. We'll have a new building in 2008. We've got 7 floors of wet specimens in the Darwin Centre. That means stuff in formalin." Everyday hallways led to a stench. "Jesus," someone muttered. "Indeed," said Billy, "this is called the dermasterium." Through interior windows there were steel containers like little coffins. "This is where we clean up skeletons, get rid of all the gunk on them. Dermestes maculatus." A computer screen by the boxes was showing some disgusting salty-looking fish being eaten by insect swarms. "Ugh," someone said. "There's a camera in the box," said Billy. "Hide beetles is their English name. They go through everything, just leave bones behind." The boy grinned and tugged his father's hand. The rest of the group smiled, embarrassed. Flesh-eating bugs. Sometimes life really was a B-movie. Billy noticed one of the young men. He wore a past-it suit, a shabby genteel outfit, odd for someone young. He wore a pin on his lapel, a design like a long-armed asterisk, 2 of the spokes ending in curls. The man was taking notes. He was filling the pad he carried at a great rate. A taxonomizer by inclination as well as profession, Billy had decided there were not so many kinds of people who took this tour. There were children, mostly young boys, shy and beside themselves with excitement, and vastly knowledgeable about what they saw. There were their parents. There were sheepish people in their 20s, as geeky eager as the kids. There were their girlfriends and boyfriends performing patients, a few tourists on an unusual byway. And there were the obsessives. They were the only people who knew more than the young children. Sometimes they did not speak. Sometimes they would interrupt Billy's explanations with too loud questions, or correct him on scientific detail with exhausting, fussy anxiety. He had noticed more of such visitors than usual in the last several weeks. "It's like a late summer brings out the weirdos," Billy had said to his friend Leon a few nights back, as they drank at a Thames pub. "Someone came in all Starfleet badges today. Not on my shifts, sadly." "Fascist," Leon had said. "Why are you so prejudiced against nerds?" "Please," Billy said. "That would be a bit self-hating, wouldn't it?" "Yeah, but you pass. You're in deep cover," Leon said. "You can sneak out of the nerd ghetto and hide the badge and bring back food and clothes and word of the outside world." Tasteful." "All right," Billy said as colleagues passed him. "Kath," he said to an ichthyologist. "Brendan," to another curator, who answered him. "All right, tubular." "Onward, please," said Billy. "And don't worry, we're getting to the good stuff." Tubular? Billy could see 1 or 2 of his escortees wondering if they had misheard. The nickname resulted from a drinking session in Liverpool with colleagues back in his first year at the centre. It was the annual conference of the Professional Curatorial Society. After a day of talks on methodologies and histories of preservation, on museum schemes and the politics of display, The evening's wind-down had started.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?